Hey Jewel fans, this is Chris. I just wanted to let you know before you start this episode, we had a little bit of audio issues. I still think it's able to be listened to without too much trouble, but please pardon the crackles that occasionally show up on this recording, and hope you enjoy the episode.
Let the magic begin.
Hey Jewel fans, I'm Chris.
And I'm Ronnie from the Jewel Riders Archive.
We're here today, apparently not with Jewel Riders, but we're going to say, let the magic begin.
Ooh, we don't say Jewel Power?
No, we say Starfire.
What is this Starfire that you speak of?
So, in 1995, not only did Princess Guinevere debut, but the very, very similar show, Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic, also debuted the same season.
Now, I've heard of Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic before. I believe Amy Jo Johnson told me all about it in a special.
Right, we have a special that we've released on the Jewel Riders Archive, hosted by Amy Jo Johnson, of Saban's Power Rangers.
So, Saban's other property was promoting their current property.
New property.
Imagine that, this synergy.
Right, they're the original synergy, maybe, I don't know.
And if you don't know who she is the Pink Ranger, my favorite character from Power Rangers.
She's the original Pink Ranger from Power Rangers.
They're doing a special.
They are, yes. They're doing a reunion special, basically, on Netflix coming up soon.
That's so crazy.
I heard Amy Jo Johnson's not in it, which makes me very sad.
Although by the time that this might be released, it might have already happened.
Who knows? Maybe she'll make a cameo anyway. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
Very awesome. So we're talking about Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic.
Yeah, so Saban hosted a special, basically, about this show to kind of drum up interest in it. Tenko is a property not based on a myth or mythology or fairy tale. It is a property based on a real-life stage magician.
So wait, the stage magician really had a Tenko box and she had powers and there was a Merlin character who had gone missing into this box?
Well, I hope so. But...
Okay, so... If you don't know who Tenko is, she was, you said that she started out as a singer, performer, right?
So Princess Tenko is a Japanese stage magician, but she began her career under the name Mariko Itakura as a Japanese idol singer, which for those who don't know, Japanese idol singers are kind of like the sugary pop singers of Japan. They're very highly regulated in their images, and they always do costuming and dancing and all of those sort of pop princess sort of things that you see.
When you said Japanese Idol, I was like, oh, American Idol. So it's not quite that?
No.
Oh, I see.
So these are people managed by these basically management companies who kind of own their image as performers. So they can't do things date, because that reflects poorly on them.
So it was basically Louis B. Mayer at MGM.
Probably. It's not a bad comparison.
So it's basically the old studio system only in Japanese culture.
Only in Japanese culture for pop singers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, if you're interested in seeing more of Tenko's performances, this is not, though, her singing. We have shared this amazing video.
Yeah.
Now, what is... I know, okay, so you basically got this video from someone else.
Yes, so I was ordering a magazine about Tenko that I'm going to be sharing on the site, called Genie Magazine. And this is a performance at the Kabukiza Theater, which is Japan's premier kabuki theater in Tokyo. And I'm not 100% sure what year this is from, but I believe it's from August 20th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing somewhere between 1990 and 1995.
Okay.
As it's the year of the performance.
And the title of this show?
This is Hikida Tenko Kabukiza Special Performance.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And now it has some pretty spectacular show-stopping scenes.
I mean, this thing is wild.
And the music. You said something about J-pop.
Yeah, I mean, so J-pop went down kind of a different road from American pop, kind of in the 80s. It's where it just developed in kind of blended with Eurobeat music to just... It's a familiar yet different type of pop music. But it's kind of like, well, what if the late 80s, early 90s just kept developing?
I love that idea.
In a different way.
I love
it. So, I'm personally a huge fan of J-pop music.
Well, I'll tell
especially
you.
ones with that Eurobeat sort of flair.
So, Chris and I were watching this video as I was converting it, and you would have thought that you were listening to a 1980s Divine the Drag Queen, a music spectacular.
Yes.
It was fantastic. The music, but you already said the Eurobeat style. Yeah. And then there was all these dances, and I said basically it's Japanese Cher. She comes out in these amazing, outrageous outfits.
Yeah,
and
very Bob Mackie.
Oh my gosh, Bob Mackie eats your heart out.
She's got headdresses.
It's crazy. So if you love... I know that this is totally, not Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic, but it's still related.
Yeah.
If Carrie Butler came out with, a Cher style of performance, well, we would want to be there and see it.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And it's just you can see why she was Magician of the Year.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, in I believe it was 1989 or 1990.
Now, you've done a lot of research into kind of the Tenko and the Guardian story and the character and at least I'll say that because for me personally, I don't know if it was because of the fact that it only had the one season or that I wasn't as into the dolls as I was other properties, for instance, Jewel Riders or
Right.
Sky Dancers.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get to that. What? You didn't know that there was a toy line? Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
Yes.
But do you feel like this is maybe your second favorite, or do you still like Dragonflies more, or where is the...
I've always had, other than Jewel Riders, there's always been sort of the three forgotten properties of the 90s that I love, which are Tenko, Sky Dancers, and Dragonflies. I mean, of course, I love the things like Gargoyles and Batman the Animated Series and the
But everyone
X-Men.
remembers
But
those.
yes, those are the... clearly having made a giant website for a cartoon where people on YouTube continually tell us nobody remembers this but me.
I'm the only one that remembers this show from 1995.
Right. And, I mean, really, that is probably true for Tenko. Unfortunately, Tenko aired on Sunday mornings in our market as children, at 7 a.m., I want to say. Mm-hmm. It was early, so if you were not up early, you missed it. And, yeah, I've always been interested in Tenko because it's such a bizarre origin coming from this Japanese stage magician, but it's really a magical girl show. But it's kind of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Mishmash?
I mean, definitely that. But it's kind of an urban fantasy, kind of similar in tone to Gargoyles.
Now, well, you said that it was similar, and I was going to allude to Jewel Riders, but there's a reason for this, isn't there?
Yes. So, friend of the archive and designer of Jewel Riders,
art director.
Greg Attori, who was the art director of the show, used to work for Kenner, of course, and...
That's where he made Jewel Riders.
Mm-hmm. And so he actually had a little bit of a hand in Tenko. Which,
really?
Everything comes back to Greg eventually, I feel
love it. Well, Greg is such an awesome source of joy and inspiration, to quote Walt Disney.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about Greg's side of that.
Yes, so Greg actually had a little quote for us about this. I'll read it off here. So he said part of the Kenner process is to always look for new properties or inventions. When they arrive, design and marketing review them, and some are picked to go ahead to the next step to make test models and get early consumer feedback. I was given several scripts and loved Enchanted Camelot when I first read it.
And that's the Jewel Riders.
That's what eventually became Jewel Riders.
Okay.
So I pushed for getting it into the tests and was assigned to adapt it into a viable toy line. I was told that the production company was willing to work with us, Kenner, to make it better. It was not until after the test results came back favorable and we decided to push forward that I met Robert Mandel and really dug into the project.
So he's still talking about Jewel Riders this whole
Yes, he's
time.
talking to Jewel Riders, and he's giving a little bit of a background on how properties were picked up by toy companies at the time.
Got it. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
So then he says, incidentally, Princess Tenko was in the same round of testing, and I did make models for that also, but it did not score as high. Later, Mattel picked up that line, but it did not perform well.
Well, I guess
Indeed,
that sums it up right
not,
there.
yeah.
So basically, Greg was given the opportunity to create models for not only Enchanted Camelot, which became Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders, but also Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic as well.
And so let us be clear, like, this is not development material from Mattel, who ended up making the Tenko dolls. This is development material that Greg made for Kenner.
I'm assuming this is from Saban.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wrote some of the documents that we have on the site and have shared under our Tenko page.
Which, if you didn't know, we do have a dedicated page on JewelRidersArchive.com for Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic as well.
Yeah, it's like we've acquired a tidy, small Tenko collection in addition to our Jewel Rider stuff, and there's really no home for Tenko on the web, so we wanted to give her a little corner of the archive.
And that's really what we're going to hope to do during this podcast, is that we are going to basically go over a little bit of the history of the show and maybe some of our own feedback.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to talk about the toy line, because like everything else during the 90s, it had a toy line to support it. So those are going to be the things that we really highlight. And really, I mean, the takeaway is that we hope that if you didn't know about Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic, that you'll come to the website, that you'll go to our YouTube page, find some of the things that we have, and hopefully you'll find a new property that you love.
Yeah, I mean, I really think, no pun intended, it's a hidden gem of the 90s, especially if you like magical girl properties.
Right. So you're talking about some of these documents that we have. I know that the ones specifically regarding like a show outline, these ones date from June of 1994. So a year before it released.
A good year before it came out.
But that was the same way with Jewel Riders. I mean, those documents also come from the years prior as well.
Yeah.
So this was also a version of the show that was not necessarily produced in that sense.
Right. Like, the final show has many differences from these documents. You know, in the final show, the storyline follows the titular Princess Tenko as she is selected by her master Hikita Tenko to take on his name, become the master guardian of basically magic in the world, and, you know, use the Tenko box to perform illusions while she goes and does her stage shows around the world.
Gotcha. Now, the first episode opens... Does it have a little bit of a backstory to it, and then it kind of just goes into the present?
I mean, basically, we're kind of dropped into it, like, right on top. Like, Tenko is performing, and Hikita saves her, and basically, he's touched by her goodness, basically, I think, as she went to go save a child from magic gone wrong.
Right.
And he basically then offers her, like, hey, you want to come to my cool castle and learn some magic?
You were nice to this child, so I've picked you to become the next, line of successors of magic people.
Yeah, so it's important to note that there are other guardians in training who are in line to be successors to Hikita, specifically Jana and Jason, who are the grandchildren of the Master Guardian before Hikita.
So it kind of seemed as though they would be the obvious picks.
Yeah, so there's this hilarious montage of everyone training, and, Jana sitting there, like, drinking a soda, or, like, just chilling out and not training or practicing. And of course, she's PO'd when Tenko gets picked to be the new Master Guardian.
So now the pages that we have, as any type of kind of like a show Bible or something, it has a story outline, it has some character information, and then it has some toy information. Should we start with like kind of the storyline?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to summarize it for us, or do you want to should we read it directly from the script, or at least the page that we have?
Yeah. Let's do a little dramatic reading.
A dramatic reading. Should I take it?
Let's trade off paragraphs.
Okay, sounds good.
Take it away though.
Okay, so here we go. The storyline for Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic.
Or rather, maybe Tenko and the Four Samurai.
I'm sorry, I didn't read the script. Is that what it says?
It doesn't have a name.
Oh, okay, whatever it is. Okay, here we go. When Princess Tenko first rearranged the jewels on the Tenko box, she unknowingly opened a doorway to another dimension. The door burst with an eerie light, and out stepped an enchantress known as Mariko. She appeared as a ravishing young woman with fiery eyes, although in her own dimension, she had another form. Princess Tenko was soon to learn that the fire in her eyes was nothing more than a lust for power.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Don't talk to people who come up from another dimension, Tenko. So the enchantress demanded that everyone bow to her and surrender the magic used to bring her to this world. When Princess Tenko defiantly refused, and here in the document the name changes from Mariko to Marika and stays Marika for the rest of the document. Marika's anger flared up and lightning leapt wildly from her hands towards Tenko. As it struck, a pink glow formed around the princess, protecting her.
The echoing sound brought Princess Tenko's four samurai bursting into the room to protect her. Marika aimed the lightning at the approaching warriors, knocking down 3 of them. The 4th samurai had leapt out of the way and was still heading to protect the princess. As Marika aimed again at the warrior, Tenko's hands leapt out instinctively to help him. The pink aura that was protecting her now enveloped the warrior, mysteriously protecting him from the blasts.
Marika could see there was no way any magic could penetrate Tenko's shield. She needed someone else to do her dirty work. Her eyes fell on the tall, daring figure of Kentara at the side of the princess. He had a bewildering look on his face. Is that supposed to be bewildered? Sorry, grammar police. Afraid but excited at the release of such raw power. Kentara and Princess Tenko had been dating off and on for 2 years. That's a long time, girl. Put a ring on it. And had finally planned to publicly announce their engagement. Oh, I guess they were going to put a ring on it. But when Marika pointed at him and coaxed him with her eyes, something turned inside him.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my god. Kentara was drawn by the dark magic which emanated from the enchantress. He broke from the princess' side and took the enchantress' hand. As Tenko watched in shock, something changed inside Kentara's soul, and a sneer came over his face. He was being lured by dark magic.
Upon the command of the enchantress, Kentara grabbed a saber and lashed out at the lone samurai. Although the samurai fought with all of his might, Kentara's new strength had beaten him to the floor. Kentara poised above the samurai to strike the final blow. Princess Tenko leapt in front of the downed warrior and screamed, "No!" She grabbed Kentara's wrists just below the saber. Kentara froze. Something came over him. He dropped the sword and backed off to witness in horror what he had just done. Sensing possible defeat, the enchantress enveloped Kentara in her dark cloak and snatched several jewels off the Tenko box. As the sneer returned to Kentara's face, they both disappeared in a thick, black cloud of smoke.
Ooh, dun dun dun.
I love the fact that also it's like they grab the jewels and then you disappear. It's very like Jewel Riders-esque.
Yes.
It really is. Okay, final paragraph.
As Princess Tenko reaches to the downed samurai, she touches his wounds in empathy and unexpectedly heals him.
Rapunzel.
Soon, I know, right? Cry on him, Tenko. Soon the smoke had left the room and the four samurai were back on their feet. But the princess had lost several jewels from the Tenko box and her love. With Kentaro gone, the princess wondered if he would ever forget the dark magic and look back to her. The wounded warrior silently wondered if the princess would ever forget Kentaro and look on him as her love. Oh, so we've got like a little love triangle going here.
But they did save...
Love quadrangle, I guess, with the Enchantress.
They save that idea, though, in the show itself, because who later became Jason,
yes.
They do allude to the fact that Tenko and Jason were lovers, or that at least that they had something more in common. Is that correct?
Or relationship is hinted at in the first episode. Like, they clearly fancy each other. And Jason, at several points in the series, is clearly, like, torn against his sister to fight Tenko. So he has this push and pull of emotions.
Now, as far as this opening story goes, it definitely is a little bit different than what was finally basically the show. But I mean, this opening story, it has the kernel of what it really came out to be, right?
So it's interesting, in this original draft, the Tenko box is a gateway to other dimensions, and you get there by arranging the gems on the Tenko box like a big Scrabble game, apparently.
Well, you know, it's funny also, like, again, talking about jewel writers, it's like, remember when the three girls have to arrange their jewels in order a way to show Morgana's lair?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's again an idea of like, oh, you have to rearrange jewels in a certain way or whatever it might be.
Tune
like,
the jewel.
Exactly.
Yes.
And even in the show Bible for jewel writers, it's often talking about like the light and like the lights that emit from the jewels and how it's associated with their power. So I feel like this was like everyone was kind of doing the same thing in 1994, it seems.
Right. There was definitely a jewel theme happening in 94, 95.
So outside of the storyline, we do have some character bios. And now these were the original draft. So this is kind of the way that they were supposed to be. Is that correct?
Yeah. So this is just... It's basically like brainstorming for what your characters could be.
So these weren't necessarily the original characters.
Yeah.
These ones...
Yeah, so like the only characters who come through basically unchanged are Tenko and Hikita Tenko, her master.
And everyone else is different.
And everyone else is different. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well... Okay, so Princess Tenko, as we already said, she's a world-renowned magician. But this show Bible that we have says that she was the apprentice of a preeminent magician, Hikita Tenko, until his untimely death.
Which is the real Princess Tenko's story.
Is it?
It is.
She
there
you go.
became the apprentice to this magician who passed away unexpectedly, and apparently, like, his sponsors wanted to continue his legacy, and she was chosen from a variety of apprentices to become the new Hikita Tenko.
So it is somewhat based on the stage life, this cartoon, but only that part.
Yes.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm pretty assuming that
that's the only part.
That the real Princess Tenko does not summon creatures with her wands.
I don't know. I watched that show, and there was a dragon in there, so I think she did. And then there was a UFO,
and there
was
was.
So, like how we said, you have to watch this show that they had that was playing from the Kabuki, right?
The Kabuki Theater.
Kabuki Theater. It's crazy. It's just insane. I love it. It was fabulous.
Yeah. And it's there's even like Vegas showgirl interludes.
Which later we'll talk about the toys. Okay, so anyway, so the summary for Tenko is that, as I said, she was the apprentice, and then during his last moments of life, he passed all he had to her, but most importantly, the Tenko box. He also used the Tenko box in his most magical feats. It was only at his death that she learned how magical the box really was. It held power to do many things in this world as well as to open new worlds. But they never did that.
I mean, it's roughly assumed that when Hikita goes into the box at the end of the first episode and, like, quote-unquote dies. Like, he goes into this magical dimension, the wild magic, one might say. Mm-hmm. And because she communicates with him several times through the course of the series.
So it's very much like Merlin
going to... astral figure.
It's very much like Merlin going into the wild magic.
Yes.
I just think that it would have been more exciting if they really had gone to different worlds, like they go to an alien world, or they go into, the past or whatever, or a mummy. I mean, she loves doing mummies. Not only was that trick on that show, but it was also on the TV show as well.
Yeah, there is the mummy episode of the show.
Oh, there is a mummy episode of the shows. But I mean, I guess that works. Okay. I was just saying, like, another,
One of her guardians in the show, the guardian named Steel, was like a student of history, and I think they go with like his history professor that he worked under to this dig in Egypt.
I need to watch the series again.
I know, it's been a while since I've watched a lot of the episodes, but I need to refresh myself, but they really are fun. So it's interesting, the Tenko box in the show, they definitely don't talk about being able to rearrange the jewels and open the box to different dimensions. Like
the gems.
The gems are there on the box, and they're in sort of this big gem in the middle. Like, they do put
Is that what that is?
I mean, it looks like a closet,
like a door. Yeah, exactly.
It looks like a big gem to me, but they can put the gems in that place on the box.
Yeah, and then they disappear.
And it kind of stores them or whatever. It's like a big drawer, I guess.
Exactly. So that's kind of the idea, is that she just becomes the new owner of the Tenko box, essentially.
Yeah, so in the final version of the show, there's no dark realm. Is there some like stuff hinted at the end of the show, maybe?
It seems like it's such a cool concept, and then it feels like they kind of like... Yeah. They're like, no, we're not going to do that.
It's like, I like that idea, but you know what? When it comes down to it, I like Jana as the villain much more than this nebulous enchantress idea. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because Jana has personal stakes against Tenko. And so it creates that rivalry. And plus, with Jason being her twin, it creates another layer of rivalry.
This was really a little deep for a child's cartoon.
A little bit, yeah.
So then let's talk about the characters.
Yeah. So, of course, like it says on the box, it's Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic. And these are Tenko's assistants, who on the stage are her stage assistants. But in reality, they each also have Starfire gems.
And on a toy line, they didn't warrant getting a toy.
Yeah, so she has 3 Guardians to begin with in this show. Bolt, Hawk, and Steel, all men. Princess Tenko and her harem of hot men.
With one of them shirtless, isn't he?
Yes, like they are, scantily dressed. Mm-hmm. But in the original take that Greg made, these were not called the Guardians of the Magic. These were basically called the 4 Samurai.
And who were the 4 Samurai?
And the 4 Samurai were a group of men and women who pledged their loyalty to Princess Tenko to work with her as a team and defend her. And basically the idea was that Tenko could infuse these warriors with light magic to enhance their powers when she needed help. So it's basically like Captain Planet powering up the Planeteers, I guess.
Well, that was around the same time, too. Okay.
So basically, but they functionally are the same thing as the Guardians.
Gotcha. And then there were 4 different samurai?
There were 4 different samurai. Unlike the show, it looks like it was a mix of men and women. Mm-hmm. And so samurai number 1 is this Norwegian who wants to be, he hopes that people will admire him for his brain and not his brawn, even though he's like apparently huge and muscular. And
sounds good to me.
I know, right? And, like, I think it's funny he's called the strong silent type in the Bible, which is like clearly he has a very deep intelligence in this. The second one, samurai number 2, he's from a wealthy family in Japan that owns like a large corporation. But he turns from his family's reliance on wealth and materialism, and he wants to find friendship and personal strength, and so he trains in martial arts to discipline himself. So his prior business training ingrains him with an overwhelming sense to face problems head-on before they get out of hand.
And these are the 2 guys.
Yes, these are the 2 guys.
Now we have the 2 women.
Yes. So Samurai 3.
Samurai 3, this is very much the Ally character, but I really see her in both of them. But Samurai 3, according to the show Bible, was raised on the streets. She didn't learn the martial arts to find some hidden meaning in her life. She actually learned it to survive. Her wild style of fighting often catches her opponents off guard, which makes her a dangerous target to pick a fight with. She also seldom hesitates to tell it like it is, but usually with a hint of sardonic wit. And she's strangely drawn to Samurai number 2 due to his focus on people rather than things.
So even here we've got like a little B-plot romance going with Samurai 3 and 2, which I thought is kind of fun as well.
Because also the thing is that the Samurai character, or at least the number 3 character, who's, I see it as Ally, but then it says that she's attracted to the number 2, but really, to me, Bolt is the brawn one, and perhaps Hawk is the other one, but it's like, it's Ally and Bolt that kind of have the relationship.
Yeah, and it's never clear whether the Ally and Bolt relationship is like big brother, little sister, but there's like a little hint of romance. Yeah.
And then Samurai 4 is the youngest of the 4. She has amazing strength for her size and age, but sometimes lacks the maturity to control it. Similar to X-Men's Jubilee, the show Bible says.
Yes.
But that's also, again, very much Ally. Like, I feel like she kind of was rolled into all of this.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. These descriptions for Samurai 3 and 4 are kind of rolled into Ally by the end.
According to the Bible, she sought to control it by studying the discipline of ballet, but that was not enough. Tenko found her and taught her the martial arts in an effort to control her outbursts. This led to Samurai number 4 idolizing Tenko and trying to be just like her and seeking acceptance from people, and will occasionally head down a wrong path to get it. So again, it's very much an Ally character.
Right.
And then...
Oh, yes, and of course, like any good magical girl, Tenko has pets who are also magical.
Tell me about these pets.
So... she has the special ability to communicate with them, which is very Jewel Riders again.
But did she use a telepathic?
The animals never talk to her telepathically in Tenko.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she can talk to them and sense sort of emotions and stuff like that.
But they don't talk back.
But they don't speak. Yeah.
Oh, that's why then Jewel Riders was better.
So, yes. So her cat, Ninja, can be transformed into a full-grown lion, and Tenko's horse sprouts wings and can take Tenko anywhere she needs. She also has a golden eagle statue which comes to life at the Princess Touch, and is kind of her extended eyes and ears.
I mean, she does have... well, she has Ninjara.
Yes.
And it says a grown lion, but it's not a lion, it's a snow leopard.
Yes.
And...
very, Siegfried and Roy-esque, but...
Yes, and then Pearl Rider also, she has the horse.
Her horse.
And then the Golden Eagle, though, she doesn't have a statue. The thing just kind of emits from the...
Yeah. So in the show, when she uses the rose quartz Starfire gem, she gets this wand which she can create these sort of spectral animals with, and for each of her gems she can create either the rose eagle, the golden lion, or the sapphire dolphin.
Gotcha.
So Tenko has multiple transformations for different needs, which is very fun.
So we talked a little bit about Greg's role in all of this. There is also a little bit of a genesis between all of these properties, essentially, and one thing that you really love.
Oh my god, my favorite unproduced thing, Wonder Woman and the Star Riders.
So how does all of this work together? And there's even Ariel in it.
Yes. So in 1993, Mattel was going to make a small action doll line called Wonder Woman and the Star Riders, which reinterprets Wonder Woman as this magical girl leader of this kind of planetary crusader girls. There's the fire girl and the ice girl and the water girl and the plant girl, and these are gorgeous little dolls, but there was just not enough interest. They were even going to make like an animated special for it, and there was a small comic released in cinnamon mini buns, and this thing is microscopic. Like it's not much bigger than a credit card, I think, in real life, but it's one of the only things actually produced of Wonder Woman and the Star Riders. But so once these dolls were scrapped in 1993, their bodies go on and they live on.
They live on as a Little Mermaid.
Yes. They lived on first as Jewel Rider prototypes.
Well, I mean, but the Disney princess, those little dolls, those came out, I believe, in like 94, 93. I could be wrong. But yeah, so Mattel ended up using that line to make the Disney musical princess dolls.
And the bubble princess dolls.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were everything. There was like the dancing ones, it was everything. But yes, the musical ones were the original ones. And they had all the princesses, so like Snow White, Aurora, Cinderella, Jasmine.
Yeah.
And then the park exclusives were Mary Poppins, Tinkerbell, and Ariel. Oh, so
cute,
yeah, I love them. I mean, if you don't know, Ariel's like my favorite character. Aside from Tamara, hashtag Tamara forever. But yeah, so they made them into the Disney princess dolls, and then Greg used the Jasmine one to make the Guinevere prototype.
Yes, which you can see in the Enchanted Camelot section of the website.
So then, because Mattel owned these bodies, because it was Wonder Woman, then it was Disney princesses, now it was going to become Tenko.
Now they're the bodies for Tenko.
Gotcha. So we have a little bit of an explanation in the show Bible, exactly like what the dolls, or at least the toys, like kind of what they were supposed to be, essentially.
Well, should we talk first about what the toys really were? Or
no, let's tell them what they were supposed to be.
And then what we got.
Yes.
Okay. So, they literally say in this Bible, there are multiple Tenkos. This is like how Batman is released in lines. I'm like, Tenko with Batman. That would be a great show.
Okay, but what they mean is, how there's like Batman, like shark Batman, or shark repellent Batman, or like,
Here's ice Batman and whatnot.
Exactly, yeah.
So there's 1,000 Batmans in each Batman line and like one of each other character.
So it's the same thing with Tenko. They wanted multiple Tenkos.
Yeah, so the first Tenko was going to come with that golden eagle statue, and which apparently was going to have LED eyes that would light up when he landed on Tenko.
That sounds a lot like Wendy. I mean, except for the fact that her eyes don't light up, but the fact that you have like this little flying toy that lands. Like, I would have loved to have had this golden eagle that comes with the dolls.
I mean, with light up eyes, like, amazing.
That would have been fun.
So Tenko number 2 was going to be wearing a white fur headdress and a big cape, which could change colors. Kind of very magician trick color changing things.
But they did have headdresses.
Oh, yes, they
and
did.
Jana did have a furry headdress, so I guess that really did come to life.
And you know what? In the Tenko special, she also has a big white headdress at one point.
There you go.
Okay, so this Tenko was going to have a staff which would light up when you put it in Tenko's hand.
That sounds cool.
And then there were 2 versions of Tenko that would come with each animal. One came
like a multi-pack?
Yeah, like one would come with Ninja and one would come with Horse.
A horse.
And Ninja would transform into a lion with the addition of a mane. And the jewel on its halter would shine to show he was infused with her magic.
I see.
Alright, and Tenko's horse, which would have wings underneath a blanket, and then, Tenko would touch it, and the wings would come out and a jewel on its halter would shine to show the horse was effused with the magic as well.
Wait a minute, what's a halter?
It's like that thing that the gays like to wear, a harness.
Oh, you mean the thing I have? Okay, I gotcha. I know what a halter is now. Okay.
And
so they were also going to make samurai toys, it looks like. Okay.
So, samurai, you could get Brawny Samurai number 1.
I mean, sign me up for this prototype.
Comes with chains to bind bondage samurai.
I was going to say, so this is bondage samurai to go with the horse with the halter. With the halter. Okay. There you go.
Okay, and he would basically snap the chains like Samson, apparently. Was his gimmick for his toy. And with Tenko's magical touch, his amulet would shine to show he's strengthened with the light magic.
Light magic, like that Disneyland parade.
Exactly. So Samurai number 2 captures attackers by launching a net at them.
Ooh, that's very, like, action
It's
figure.
very ninja, yeah. And again, Tenko would touch him, his amulet would shine.
Interesting. I don't know how they were going to do all this.
No. Greg loves action features.
Oh, that's true. Greg wrote all this.
Yes.
He wrote this, so he kind of had an idea of what he was going to do.
Yeah.
I believe he would have been able to do it.
Yeah, no, he would have definitely figured out a way.
And that's the reason why we love Greg, is because he has this passion to create storytelling through toys.
Yeah.
He
came up with the light piping idea for the Jewel Rider toys when they said that the lights for like LEDs were too expensive and
Right.
didn't cost out. And so he came up with that light piping, and that's how you got light up jewels without batteries.
Right. And so they still work to this day.
Yeah, exactly. There's no battery inside that Jewel Rider that's going to corrode.
That's awesome, though. I mean, you think about, like, a lot of this, like, when you're hearing about, like, oh, they want to do this and this and this. I think, a lot of toy designers might be like, oh, that's too much. Like, we're not going to do that. Like, that's going to cost too much. And what I love is the fact that Greg probably would have been able to do this for a good cost and would have been able to tell the complete story.
Right.
I wonder if that would have made it more successful. If it had a better toy line.
Maybe. But like you said, it just didn't meet the same numbers as Jewel Riders.
But that's because he didn't work on it.
In the testing rounds at Kenner.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So Samurai number 3 has the wild whirling action. So this is the samurai who was raised on the streets. And with Tenko's magical touch, her amulet glows. So I guess all their amulets glow for these samurai figures. And I love this. Samurai number 4 comes with pipes she can break in two.
With her high kicks, activated by a button.
She's gonna take you down with the pipe that she breaks. Damn.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. And they were gonna make Marika. So Marika has full dark cape with black lining to make things disappear.
It's not like making things disappear, you just throw the cape on them.
I mean, you know what? This honestly, it sounds... I mean, as hokey as it sounds, we saw Greg's take on a disappearing Fallon, and I don't know, I didn't like that one as much, so I guess maybe that was okay that this one didn't happen.
And then they were also going to make Kentara,
who's the boy, the Jason character.
I love this. He has a flip-around head, has a face with sneer, but when Tenko is near him, his face turns to a normal smile.
I'm angry every other minute, but when Tenko's around, I'm pretty happy.
I'm pretty good off.
Oh my gosh.
So when she leaves, he turns back to his normal, nasty self. And Greg specifically mentions She-Ra, Princess of Power, the Double Trouble figure, but he specifies that it's with magnet activation instead of double trouble. You turn the braid on top of her head.
That's so crazy that if the character's magnet would have been strong enough. I mean, but if the magnet was strong enough to turn the head, so what? Some poor child is taking their Tenko doll and they get too close to mom's pots and pans and. Tenko goes right into the pan.
Hopefully you didn't run Tenko's hand over like a cassette tape.
Oh my gosh, ridiculous. And then, okay, so it's so funny because I was like, this seems pretty obvious. They should make a Tenko box. And that was a plan of his. He was going to make a Tenko box. So by rearranging the jewels on outside of the box, it would allow the box to open, a magnetic back jewel and a magnetic opening lock. The box can make things disappear, similar to Swamp Thing's transducer.
I'm assuming this was the flip around...
I don't know what
mechanism that would take something to the back of the box. It's gone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The playset would open up into new dimensions, and the disappearing door becomes the portal for Tenko to get in. There would be decorative swords on the outside to become real swords. They were magnetic, apparently, and in Tenko's hand to defend the box against enemies.
So speaking of swords and boxes, one of Tenko's signature illusions is going into the box and they plug all the swords into it, and then she survives. Well, in 2007, that trick went wrong and she got stabbed, apparently.
So this is real magic then?
Apparently.
So she really... Wow.
I mean, so she, she got injured, but apparently she, finished the show.
Oh, I'm okay. There's just blood gushing out of my side.
I'm just like, are you okay?
Oh my God.
You can stop. You got
Right.
stabbed.
That's so crazy. So she really got stabbed.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is the descriptions for the toys and what they were supposed to look like. But as we said...
You can also see a few drawings from Greg on the Tenko page as well that go along with this.
Yeah, they have some sketches of the characters. There's the Tenko character. There's the
Bolt character.
Right, but I was gonna say what nationality? Norwegian. Yeah, the Norwegian one, and then you have the Ally one.
Yeah.
Who looks like Barbie.
Yes.
And then you have
what I'm guessing is Samurai number 2, which is the one from the multinational corporation.
Right. There's also designs that he put about, I'm assuming kind of the way that the magnetic stuff would work and the traps and things like that.
Right.
And little Tenko boxes. And it's very much the jewel box, at least the way that he made it, what it looks like. There's a lot of similarities here. So anyway, that basically leads us into the actual toy line. So the toy line, we talked about it having, the 2 guy characters, I guess the 2 girl characters, different Tenko villains, a Tenko box, and what did we end up with?
We ended up with Las Vegas.
We went to Vegas. That's where we went. So who were the characters, at least, that we ended up with?
Much like Batman, we did get 3 Tenko dolls. One to represent each of her signature looks, the Golden Lion, the Rose Eagle, and the Sapphire Dolphin looks. And while in the show, these are sleek bodysuits with maybe a little frill to them. These toys are... Each of them has a huge headdress, and each of them has a not clip-on, it's a magnetic breastplate that attaches to the doll, and which can also attach a magnetic jewel to it. And so in addition to those 3 Tenkos, we got a Janna doll, so the Enchantress, and we got an Ally doll, who became the 4th Guardian in the show, who is that mixture of Samurai 3 and 4. And we also got a Shanti doll. Now, Shanti does not show up in these early Bibles. She's Tenko's animal trainer and caretaker. But she does show up in some ways in a second draft of these, where Samurai, Samurai 3 becomes someone a guardian who was born in a village in Africa, and she's a dancer, and so she.
Do you want to just read it from the? Okay, go ahead and just read it from the show Bible.
Okay, so Samurai 3 was born in a quiet little village in Africa. Her childhood had been peaceful until a warring tribe overran the village and stole her away. As she grew in stature and beauty, she was forced to dance for her captors to satisfy their lust for their pleasure.
My goodness.
This is a dark turn. This is human trafficking.
Yeah.
She incorporated the fighting she saw on a daily basis into her dancing style. Eventually, she was able to free herself by dancing with the village guard. Vowing never to be subjugated again, she refined her defensive skills through training in the martial arts. However, her grace and high kicks are still more reminiscent of dancing than fighting. Oh, so she's the one who's going to kick
she's
that high.
Yes, she's the high-kicking one.
It's also worth noting that Samurai number 2 goes from an Asian character to a Latino.
I mean, the same thing happened in Skydancers, too. Remember, wasn't... In the sketches, wasn't he originally Asian?
Yes. Slam was kind of an Asian character in his early drafts,
So Samurai 2.
So, and his parents were killed when he was a preteen, and he was raised by his Navajo grandmother in the wilderness.
Which is very Hawk.
This is because basically Hawk's backstory. and she taught him how to respect nature and learn from it. When he studied the martial arts, he incorporated the animals' fighting techniques to adapt to any attack. And again, like most Native American representation from the 1990s, it's aged about as poorly as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. It's very, like, ooh, my spirits and all of that. And it's like, oh, it's just this amalgamation of a multitude of Native American tropes.
Like stereotypes and things like that. No, I hear you. So we were starting out by talking about kind of the dolls and, like, what the designs looked like and whatnot. And the thing to also note is not only did we not get the 2 boys, or 3 boys, I mean, not only did we get the 3 guys.
3 secondary main characters.
Right. I mean, they're the namesake, Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic. So instead we get Shanti, who's not even technically a Guardian.
Yes.
And Allie is not yet a Guardian in the show.
Allie becomes a Guardian. I think she gets her Starfire gem in, like, the second to last episode of the show.
And then you get Jana, but you don't get Jason, and you get the 3 Tenkos. And something else that I want to note is that the Tenkos... Okay, when Greg talks about toy design, he talks about how important it is to associate the characters. So, like, you knew Guinevere was pink, you knew Tamara was teal, you knew Fallon had purples. So, as a child, later when I'm hearing what Greg has to say, it really clicked with me because Tenko is wearing all 3 outfits. Like, she has the purple one, she has the pink one, she has the yellow one. And for me, I don't really remember these from the show. They were, well, 1, they don't look like the show, but 2, it was such a brief moment in the the fight sequence that it was like, I don't remember the costume looking like this, nor does it happen frequently enough that I even know which color is really associating with the character.
You know what color I associate with Tenko?
What?
I associate with the teal of her civilian outfit that she wears most of the show.
Like the robe?
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have just made that. The robe.
Yes. I think that would have actually been really fun if they made a base Tenko with the robe and maybe made outfit packs or had... Like
this was Mattel.
An outfit with it, yeah.
Yeah.
You could have done a variety of costumes then.
Because unlike Jewel Riders, these dolls had removable clothes, they had little accessories, they had headdresses, they had little fabric pieces. Like, everything was fabric. Like, hardly anything was plastic except for, like, the breastplate and the jewel and the piece of the headdress.
Yeah.
Like, everything was fabric, which, again, it's Mattel. Sorry, I think I cut you off. So we said that they had the 3 Tenkos. You were talking about Shanti. Mm-hmm. Did you say about...
Yeah, we talked about Allie.
And
the last one was Jana. Mm-hmm. And they also made Pearl Rider and Ninjara for this line, which are recycled sculpts from She-Ra's horse and the Claudine figurine.
So, Pearl Rider...
Yes.
Is basically going to be Swiftwind.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then we got Claudine over here.
And it's important to note that these sculpts were also going to have been reused for Wonder Woman and the Star Riders.
Oh.
Because the villainess in that was named Persia.
Oh, and she was going to have
And she was going to have basically a Catra-like cat.
Gotcha.
So that Persia cat was going to be that same mold as
Ninjara.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing we're talking about. We'll get to really this in a second, but it's like... Pearl Rider. I mean, where do we even begin? It's almost like Purple Pants Drake. It's like you see this brown horse in the show, and does it turn white?
I think Pearl Rider is always white.
I thought it was brown. Anyway.
I can't remember.
Anyway.
We're such bad memory.
But we need to go back and watch the show. But it's like...
Pearl Rider is a boy in the show. I will note this.
And it's like in the toy, you've got this like Las Vegas like filly. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Like,
he's gonna put a fashion star filly to shame.
Yeah, exactly. Pearl Rider in this line is more fabulous than the fashion star filly.
Yes.
Like, I can't even say he. Like, I know it's a he, but it's like that, and especially in 1995, they were not dressing boys like this. Like,
no.
So it's almost like they changed the gender of the doll as well.
Right. But it's just part of a larger move with this version of the toy line to It's almost like Mattel trying to wrest control away from Saban and make what they think is supposed to be this property.
So basically, they were trying to make what they thought would sell.
Yes.
And I think the problem is that the right hand wasn't doing what the left hand was doing, and so together they just created something that was so distant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically like the Sky Dancers, like the show versus the doll
toys,
line.
yeah.
You know, it's exactly the same.
You know, like you look at Pearl Rider in the show. Pearl Rider in the show has, feathered wings and, transforms. And this Pearl Rider, the wings are just these little pieces of gauzy
I didn't even
cloth.
know. Like, seriously, it doesn't even look like wings. Like, these are supposed to be wings. Like, it just looks like it's like a fancy saddle decoration.
Right.
You know? It doesn't, like, you don't really believe that these were wings. And so, again, though, the whole thing is just very Las Vegas. It's very, like, showgirl, like, they're fun as toys, but really, there's such a disconnect from the actual show.
Yeah. It's like, now as an adult, I appreciate the toys for what they are. But I really do wish they had been closer to the show.
Right. Because it's like, even when you look, like, let's say, like, I'm just going to take a look at Golden Eagle Tenko and compare the, I was going to say her jewel armor. I don't know if that's really what it's called, but
Her magic outfit.
her magic outfit versus, the toy design. And it's like, she's in a bodysuit, that's true, but she's also wearing boots. She's not wearing heels. Like, the doll has her in heels, and the show she's in boots. The show has her in a basically transparent, like, skirt. It's basically a pant set. But the toy turns her into this, like, ballroom dress. And
Yes, it's funny because on the toy, it's like, okay, well, this is just the front. It's attached to the bodice. But you're right, though. Like, they really come across from the front looking like a big ball gown.
exactly. And then she has the giant breastplate, but it's like, it's so decorative. And it's like, yet in the show, it was just a bodysuit with a corset. Now, she really did have the gem on there, so that's actually, that's screen accurate.
She does have a headpiece in the cartoon.
But it's not with, like, it's a giant fur coming out of it.
Small crown.
Exactly, and she also has the armbands on.
Yeah, her hair is in a braid.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just very warrior in the show, and it's just very, like, I'm about to, like, see the Folie Bergère at Vegas, which I love. Like, I love the design, but it's just like there was such a disconnect between the show and the toys. It really was, unfortunately.
Yeah. And, like you said, it feels like the left hand and the right hand didn't know what each other were doing in that case.
That's for sure. I mean, let's also even take a look at, what is it, the blue sapphire? Is that what it's called?
The sapphire dolphin is the outfit.
So this at least has, I mean, the Golden Eagle kind of had the same colors, but it was much more just golds and browns in the show. And in the toy, it's like mostly pink and yellow.
Which, according to Greg, pink always sells the best.
I know.
Girls'
But
toys.
they took it to an extreme because every character in this line is wearing pink. Like,
Yeah, there is pink on every character.
Right. It's like Pearl Rider, it's Ninjara, it's like the only one is not is Jana.
She's the evil one.
That was the one that I actually liked as a doll.
No, I
liked her because
she's a beautiful doll.
So go ahead and take it from here about.
Okay, yeah. So the Sapphire Dolphin Tenko, again, small crown, giant headdress. She's got like a ribbed bodysuit that really kind of has elements of like a diving suit because she goes underwater with it. She's got like fancy boots, and she's got her gauzy sort of wrap dress on the bottom piece again. Whereas, she looks like a fountain in Las Vegas on the other one.
She's about to be in a.
Just Esther Williams.
There you go. Yes, Esther Williams. I was going to say the director who.
Busby Berkeley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't imagine for a moment she would dive underwater wearing that. But the Sapphire Dolphin outfit does have pink highlights on it, which is actually something I didn't remember until we looked at this image I thought it was all blue.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definite pink highlights on it, which are cool. Like, they bring out the depth of the blue. The blue is much paler in the toy. Mm-hmm. And again, like just like the Golden Lion, it's washed out and it's high amounts of pink.
Mm-hmm. And no boots.
And of course, Rose Eagle is just... The pink aisle just exploded on this toy.
Well, of the Tenkos, I really liked her.
Was she your
for
favorite?
obvious reasons. Yeah. But yes, I really did like her. And I think the reason is just because she's so fun. Like, I love the design. But we do have a little bit of comparison to do. Do you want me to do this one? Or do you want to? Okay. So, same thing like what we've been saying. So, Rose Eagle, again... She's wearing boots, not heels. She has a very, see-through kind of a skirt. I mean, these things aren't really even meant to be really parts of the outfit. It was just kind of an adornment. Like, it's really more of a superhero bodysuit. But then, again, the dolls were turned into, these ballroom prom dresses. So...
If your prom was in Las Vegas...
So this one, again, she does have a little crown, but it's all of them. She has a crown in all of the variations of her power, but they've turned them into headdresses, and it's they're not headdresses, because no one can fight like this. This is not how she's going to fight.
Yeah, it's Jewel Riders clearly showed us, you can do a small, clear crown that looks great for a toy of this size.
But again, that was Greg, and yes. Greg left the project, and so whoever it was at Mattel took this over. So, okay. The other thing is that while she does have more of a breastplate on the Rose Eagle outfit in the show versus the corset that she might have had in the other outfits, so I guess the breastplate is right, but the breastplate on the doll has this striped pattern, which is fun, but it's not even in the show. There's no stripes whatsoever. In fact, she has kind of those curly designs that Guinevere has on her.
They're actually very similar, yeah.
And then it's a bodysuit with pants, so... I don't know. I mean, give and take, every doll has a little bit of oh, I can see that. That's kind of like that. But at the end of the day, it's still kind of no, no, that wasn't it.
I mean, Shanti's outfit is made up whole cloth by Mattel, since she's never a Guardian in the show.
And I wonder if that's because... Again, they had more leeway with her. I don't know. But it's hard for me to even remember what she looks like in the show. But I do remember her by the doll. But also, because I've always loved kind of the black character, essentially. That was always my favorite character. And so for me, Shanti, I loved her hair. I loved her skin color. I loved, the design of her outfit. And I think what I liked about her was that everyone else has skirts. And she had this little cape thing.
Yes, yeah. She is totally gorgeous. Her and Jana really ended up being my favorites of the bunch. And Allie is the Barbie clone.
Which anything. I liked Allie. As I recall, I think Allie was actually the hardest to find.
Which is so funny, because I would have thought they would have made her in Abundance being the sort of blonde Barbie-esque character.
Like I said, I feel. Maybe it was Shanti, but I know there was one of them that was really hard to find. I think it was Allie. I do think it was Allie that it was hard to find her. But, yeah, I mean... Jana was a dime a dozen. You can find her everywhere.
Yeah, she was a KB toy shelf warmer, unfortunately.
Well, and as you said, Allie didn't get her magic until really the end of the series, and yet they put her as one of the main characters, and then it's you give her this outfit, but again, it's you never see her. So I remember as a kid thinking where does this outfit even come from? I don't know.
The whole gimmick is that Allie's Morganite Starfire gem is split into two halves, and each half ends up on a skate, because Allie likes inline skating because of course the 90s. And does this doll have skates? It does not.
Why would it? Why would it?
She got a little crown, and but you see Allie's outfit for 5 seconds in the show.
It's how am I going to really identify that with the doll?
Yeah.
Again, so many missed opportunities. And then the last one, we have Jana. And now, obviously, because she turns into a dragon when she's paired with Jason. And so, there is the design of Jana in her outfit. And of course, it looks nothing like the final doll design whatsoever. And the thing is that especially when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, so you're a dragon, you are, you're supposed to look like fire or whatever it is. But one, it doesn't look like that in the show. And two, it looks like she's like a Tahitian dancer.
Yes, that's actually a really good comparison. In the show, everything about Jana's design is sharp. It's very Kale-like. Mm-hmm. You put sharp edges on the villainous characters to sort of let the kids identify that they're the bad one,
Right.
Her skirt has a sharp point. Her boots have sharp points. Her gem is a sharp point. Her crown is sharp. She's got, like, a sharp design on her bodice. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, yeah, everything about this character is sharp, including her temper.
Yeah.
But this doll is... I'm the fire goddess. I don't know what she
Pele
is.
over here.
Yeah. You're right. Like, she'd be not out of place at a tiki bar.
Exactly. Like, I think she could dance at Disneyland's Tahitian Terrace. But she has this fun, like, fire design. Like, I like it on the doll. But again, when you look at the design of the actual show, where's the correlation? Because I'm lost.
And it should also be noted, Jana and Allie are short-haired characters in the show. And of course,
they have long beautiful hair.
Yeah.
Which I did like, but again, it was like, I didn't recognize them in the toy as the character on the show. It was just such a disconnect.
Yeah, it's like, I know this is this character because the box has this name on it. But if you were just going by it, you would not really identify those as the same character.
Right.
Sadly, but...
So again, she has another little crown. I think all of the characters have crowns, but then she has a headdress in the doll, and she also has this mask thing, like, that goes over the eyes.
Which I think is funny, because it's very, like... It's very Catra, it's very... It's very Persia.
So very, like, trying to be the villain again.
It's like, your face is covered up because you're evil.
Right. So the thing is that, again, though, she's in another of those bodysuits. So she has a bodysuit with, like, the leggings, and then she has this, like, furry dress that matches the furry headdress, and then the bodice, which every single one of them has the bodice, like, the magnetic bodice. But it's like in the show, that's not anything. She doesn't have a bodice in the show. She doesn't have, like, a giant, like, skirt like that. Like, in the show, she has boots, she has leggings, she has a skirt that is attached to her top, but it's all like kind of like a one piece. Like, it's not this, like, body... I don't even know what they did. Like, it's so wrong. And she has these really big earrings, and, like, the doll has no earrings.
Yeah, she's got some big 90s earrings. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just at a loss, honestly, when I look at these dolls versus the show. I like them both.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think the dolls are bad dolls.
No, but I think that they didn't do...
As Tenko dolls...
Right.
They are not necessarily...
They didn't really serve the purpose.
The show and the purpose.
And then along with, like, the dolls, so we already talked about the other toys, and we already kind of ragged on poor Pearl Rider, but let's just make sure to call out Ninjara. You used him for Drake.
I basically use this as, like, a stand-in for Thunder.
Yes.
I actually do love the Ninjara toy. It's my favorite piece, I think, of the Tenko toys.
Now, Ninjara was hard to find. I do remember that, because you never found him either, but I remember I found Ninjara.
Yeah. And Ninjara had a headdress, because of course.
Everyone has a headdress.
I mean, I get what they're going for, like, the headdress
Do
has,
you?
like,
Because I don't.
The headdress has the long fur, which is, I guess, is it supposed to be like the lion fur kind of thing? But this is a snow leopard. They don't have that.
And see, the thing is that it always kind of, like, it just got in the way. It was big, it was fuzzy, and it's like, what's the point?
Dirty. I remember very easily. And it was just like, ugh.
So, along with the toys, like Jewel Riders, there was a mishmash of things.
Yes.
Just to name a few, because I know that we only have a few of the items. But there's some party supplies. You have some plates.
I recently bought the candles from the party supplies.
Candles. There's invitations. Cups.
Plates.
Do we have the napkins?
I think there are napkins as well.
So that's the party supplies.
Yeah. There is a kite.
Randomly.
I believe it has the Sapphire Tenko on it. Yes, it has.
With the dolphin?
Sapphire Tenko with the dolphin on the kite.
That's fantastic.
I do have this kite.
Yeah.
Someday I want to just take it to the park.
No, because then you'd have to open it, and we don't want you to do that. Was there anything else that you can think of off the top of your head? There was Taco Bell toys.
Yes, there were Taco Bell toys.
Yeah.
Which are not the characters. They're like little magic tricks.
Magic tricks, which the dolls did come with magic tricks.
Each of the
That's
dolls
important
came
to
with
say.
A magic trick.
Because, again, based on Tenko, the magician.
Didn't the dolls also have some holographic elements to them?
Not that I remember. Did they?
I feel like I'm remembering something, but I could be mistaken.
I don't remember. I mean, there's like, are you talking about the backs? The backs are holographic, but no, they just came like with like a little magic book, and then
the Starfire gem just had an image in it.
Oh yes,
that's what I'm thinking of.
So the Starfire gems do have images, which again, it's like you don't really. I don't know. I mean, it has like the little lion, it has a little dolphin, and the little rose eagle, and again, all of these are visible when you look at our social media. We all have pictures of them, and Pro Ryder in his very pink circus outfit.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So when the show debuted, we talked about the fact that it was kind of everywhere, and like in the sense of like. I think it kind of changed. Did it change time slots as well, or did it not change time slots? Do you remember?
I don't remember it changing time slots, but I feel like it wasn't around long enough to change time slots.
So, unlike Jewel Riders, where it did go to like different stations, and it kind of had that like, oh, it's going to be back on TV, and it's at 5 a.m. or whatever. I don't think that Tenko got the same type of a random scheduling. Maybe it's because it was Saban, or maybe because it was Saban, it was kind of like, it didn't do so good, so let's just yank it off the air. There are not very good recordings of the show.
Yeah, so DVDs for this, there were never VHS released in the US for this show.
Right.
There was like a Region 2 DVD with a couple of episodes in the UK.
Yeah, they had a Volume 1 with 2 of the magical episodes. Then they also had, like, Volume 3, and I'm assuming they had Volume 2 in there as well. Yeah, Volume 2.
So you get maybe 6 episodes of this released.
And then there was...
There's a version released in Israel?
Yeah, in Israel. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Yeah.
And these are all branded with Jetix, which... For those who don't know, Saban sold a huge, like basically almost all of its properties to Disney for a time. And, Saban eventually bought back Power Rangers from Disney. I don't know if they bought the other stuff back.
Well, even if they didn't, Disney has ended up buying Fox.
Yes.
So who knows what Disney owns.
So I'm like, does Disney own Tenko now?
Right.
Is she the newest magical princess?
But they don't do business with Mattel anymore, so...
Actually...
Oh, that's right.
They do. Yeah. They're back. Yeah.
But the point is that some of the recordings of the show... that we have do come from a Jetix like re-release, so it must have been re-released available.
It ran on Jetix for maybe a year or so,
and some people were able to record them. So that is where some of our videos come from.
So there have been there were 2 episodes missing for the longest time from this show.
The Magic Skates
and Will the Real Princess Tenko Please Stand Up?
Right. And we found them on, well, one of them I found on your home videos from the 90s.
Home recorded 1990s VHS tape.
And the other one was gifted to us from a fan who had recorded it from that, or I don't know if they did, but they had a copy of the Jetix release of that particular episode as well. And a lot of fans have been like, you know what, we're just so glad to finally see the entire series in its totality. However, and this is something that we're still going to be waiting to basically kind of edit and release. And so if you love Tenko, please be patient, because with everything else going on at the archive, we have some stuff that we need to do. But we believe we have found some new versions of those lost episodes that we will eventually share.
Yes, they're going to require a little cleanup. And
yes, lots of cleanup.
Yeah. But they're hopefully a little bit better than the copies that we have now.
Right, they're a little bit... The ones that we have up are snowy.
Yeah.
That was the thing back then, before digital,
kids,
exactly.
Yeah.
1995, the channel may have been snowy with your little bunny antenna.
Right, and I never had cable, so I did not ever have clear picture.
Right. So anyway, going back to YouTube, we do have the full series, though, available as it is right now. We do have the full series, so if you want to follow Tenko and her Guardians of the Magic throughout their entire 13-episode story, they are available. However, it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, so basically the show, we never find out what happens. There's this huge battle between Tenko and Janna. Janna maybe dies, but is also maybe in contact with some dark entity. And it is unfortunately never answered. I'm sure it was supposed to pick up in the next season had that happened. And there was some movement of Jason perhaps coming back to the Guardians.
Becoming her lover.
Yes.
We don't know.
Yeah.
You're going to have to write... Someone's going to have to write a fan fiction about this. I don't know
if anyone's ever written a Tenko fan fiction, at least not that's been shared.
Well, if you are about to do one or want to do one, make sure to let us know.
I would love to read that if somebody picked up and wrote a second season of Tenko.
That would be very fun. If we're going to do any of those writing things, maybe depending on how many listeners we get on this particular episode, we could say this is our next writing challenge.
That would be really fun.
Get to finish up Tenko.
Draft me season 2 and finish the story of Tenko.
That would be really fun. What happened to Janna? What happened to Jason?
Yeah.
Will Tenko really go to Vegas?
Will she sell out her show?
Right?
Or will she get stabbed in the box again?
And will Allie really meet Barbara Millicent, her idol?
Yes, exactly. Allie finds out she's a long-lost Roberts child.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah, so,
well, this has been quite the journey.
Yeah, I love Tenko. It's such a little footnote to animation of the era. I wish it had a little more love, but in between being sold and not really rerunning much and not really having the length, it's just never gotten the viewership that it really ever needed to become anything. And I'm really grateful that, all these fandoms over the years have been like, yes, and then through the fandom, we assembled all the episodes.
Right.
You saw
that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, it's like, we did it with Jewel Riders. It happened with He-Man fandom and She-Ra and all of them. And, 20 years after those ones had it assembled, we finally assembled Tenko. And that's very exciting. It's kind of like the last frontier of the things that I really wanted.
Yeah.
Reassembled for modern viewership, and I'm so happy that even though it has no other home, seemingly
it has a home on the Jewel Riders archive.
It has a home with us.
Yes. So we archive not only the photographs of the dolls and the marketing, we have a whole page dedicated to it, we have a whole YouTube channel playlist dedicated to it. Unfortunately, it's not a mini musical, so there's no songs to share from it. But we do also have some artwork, we have some background art and some marketing promotional cells.
I scour eBay regularly for Tenko related materials.
Don't give away your secrets.
Yeah,
we don't want people taking them from you.
Yes. And I've been lucky enough to pick up a couple of cells and backgrounds from the show and just random other pieces that I really love. If you want the toys, they are still fairly available on eBay.
You're gonna jinx yourself. You're gonna do it. This is exactly what happened to Jewel Riders. Oh, you can buy the entire set for $25. 20 years later, $150 for one.
I know. Well, I have noticed actually they've been going up in price recently.
Well, now they're really going to go up in price.
I know.
So hopefully you already bought out every version you wanted.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I actually did buy a factory error version the other day.
Oh, what was the error?
I believe it was Shanti or Jana that said the other character's name on the
really?
box.
That's so funny.
I was like, I don't need this, but that's really fun. I like a good factory error.
Yeah. Very cool.
So yeah, any final thoughts on Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic?
Well, the biggest thing for me is that I need to watch the series again.
Yeah, we should definitely do a rewatch of this show.
After I'm done editing them, we'll watch them together. Yeah, so it's that. One, I need to do that. But then two, I can't decide if I like the show more or the dolls more. And the reason why I say that is because the dolls are basically what I wanted from Jewel Riders in the sense of a little fashion doll. That's what I wanted. And that's what they gave me. And so that's what I like. But the show is just so completely different. But in many ways, it's kind of like just a
superior product?
No, I was going to say it's like... Because it's made by Saban, it was just, I would say, maybe a better company than, like, New Frontier. So it's kind of like the better made Jewel Riders, but also it's not. Because of the storytelling, because of, like, the character development, I feel like it's not better.
So, like many Saban shows, there's a mixture of footage. So, you know, in Power Rangers, it's a mixture of the Japanese footage with the English footage. In Tenko, it's the animation, and at the end there is the real Princess Tenko for like 3 to 4 minutes, either teaching kids how to do like a magic trick or doing one of her like big stage illusion tricks. And those take up like in a show that's like a 24-minute episode.
22.
Yeah, you're getting maybe 20 minutes per episode. And I remember the last time I watched the show, I was like, this thing just blows ahead like a runaway train.
So basically, in 20 minutes, when you have story time, you're basically taking 5 of those minutes to do a little trick.
Right.
And so you only have 15 minutes of story.
Right. Well,
I got you.
20 maybe, but it makes it difficult in that runtime to tell a complete story. And so it's like, you know, it's like, my goodness, they're just going everywhere. Like, but I do love the setting. I think it's fun to have a modern setting with the magical elements in it. But it's like, it's more, I like it because it's just the counterbalance to Jewel Riders, which is like a full fantasy setting.
Right, where this is like a modern fantasy. It's very much like a Gargoyles.
Yeah, it's that urban fantasy setting, which is very popular in books nowadays. So maybe we could get the Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic novel.
Well, go ahead and write it. We'll see how that
I
goes.
will.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's my takeaway, is that I like the toys, but I like the show. I just need to watch the show again. But it's definitely not superior, in my opinion, to Jewel Riders. Like, Jewel Riders is obviously much better.
And I think this all comes back to Greg's development work.
So maybe Greg is the deciding factor in all of this.
I think he might be, because Greg really believes in the toys representing the characters you see on screen. You see it with his Disney dolls. You see it with Jewel Riders. It's important to him that there is like a synergy between the toys and the show, because it's hard to like something that doesn't look like the thing that you like.
Right.
And it's why I've never been a big fan of the Disney dolls that are like, oh, well, here's Holiday so-and-so.
Oh.
Well, who's this?
Yeah, because it's not necessarily
There's
the
no
characters.
Christmas under the sea.
Right, you don't identify with that.
Yeah, but, if there's something that looks like the character on screen, my screen accuracy fetish.
Which we already talked
Yes.
about. Yes.
So, I mean, to me, the Tenko show is the superior piece. But that doesn't mean I dislike the toys. And I certainly love the toys in reference to being part of that lineage that comes out of She-Ra and Wonder Woman and the Star Riders and the Disney musical princesses. As this sort of next iteration of these small dolls from Mattel.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. I guess that's our take on Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic. Now you got to go watch it.
I know. And as Tenko says at the end of every episode, the magic is within you.
There you go. Yes. Let the magic begin.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for listening. And if you want to find out more about Tenko, of course, visit us at jewelwritersarchive.com and check out our Tenko page. You can visit it right from the main page of the website. And if you, of course, want to watch the episodes, which you should, you can go to our YouTube channel and find the Tenko playlist, and they should all be there. And so, if you've enjoyed this, please, give us a rating, review. We love to hear from the fans, and we love to hear what you guys are up to and interested in, and what new Magical Girl properties are you watching. And if you'd like to hear more from the Jewel Writers Archive podcast, you can find us on any major podcast platform, or at our home on Podbean. And if you want to find out more from the Jewel Writers Archive, you can find us at jewelwritersarchive.com, on Twitter at Jewel Writers, or on Instagram at Jewel Writers Archive. And as they always say at the end of the show, friends together,
Friends forever. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for joining in.
Let the magic begin.
Starfire and the magic is within you.
And all that jazz.